Hello everyone and welcome to Self-Care Sunday. My name is Jessie and I'm with the Glencoe Public Library. Today we are going to go over a couple of simple self-care activities that you can do at home. So we are going to get started with some homemade bath bombs. Now if you're like me, you've probably used bath bombs before, but never necessarily made them. So the recipe I chose today, I tried to pick one that would have ingredients that people tend to have at home. A lot of the recipes, you can find tons of ways to make your own bath bombs online, but some of the recipes I found had citric acid very commonly, or else cream of tartar, neither of which are things that I think most people have at home. I also was not successful at finding citric acid at the grocery store, so I thought let's do one with stuff that people are more likely to have at home. So we're going to get started by adding half a cup of baking soda to a bowl. Now remember, baking soda and baking powder are not the same. And we're going to sift that, kind of like sifting sand when you were a kid, if you ever did that in a sandbox. I know I did. And okay, so next up we have the option to add some oil. So the recipe suggests coconut oil. I'm going to use olive oil. So if you've watched this channel before, you know I'm a bit of a rebel sometimes when it comes to different oils. It's a really weirdly specific thing to be a rebel about, but you can add coconut oil, olive oil, any kind of oil you have around the house, and that is going to add just a moisturizing component to your bath bomb. You can also skip this. This recipe really only requires 2 ingredients, which is another thing that I really like about it. The only essentials are the baking soda and lemon juice that we're going to add in a bit. So at this phase, I'm also going to add my essential oil, another thing that is optional but will make your bath bomb smell delicious. So I'm using a citrusy scent here. You only need like a few drops, really. It suggests 6 to 12. I think I got about 7 or 8 in there. I'm going to go ahead and stir all of what we have so far together. And then once I do that, the last step here is going to be the trickiest, because I'm going to add the lemon juice, 2 to 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. I'm going to do that and stir at the same time, and we're only going to add a little bit of lemon juice at a time. You don't want to add it all at once, because that is going to cause it to fizz up too quickly before we're ready to use it, and we don't want that. Another way you can do this is if you have a spray bottle on hand, you can use the spray bottle to add the lemon juice. Say yes, fizzing a little bit so far, not too much. And you can see how the spray bottle would be appealing for this. Let's switch hands here, sorry. Stirring with my dominant hand, and pouring with my non-dominant hand. That seems to work better. And we've got 1 tablespoon added. Let's get a little more in there. This is lemon juice from a lemon, because I happen to have a lemon, but if you have some like pre-squeezed lemon juice, like, I know we keep that on hand to add to different things like fish. I imagine that would work just as well. That was a little too much of it, so that's okay. Texture here is interesting. It's not going to end up like this, because we're going to end up putting it in my little muffin tin that I have here to be my mold. They do sell bath bomb molds online, so you can make yours in that nice spherical shape that bath bombs usually come in. But in the spirit of DIY, I am just going to use a muffin tin. I already have it around the house, and it doesn't matter to me if my bath bombs are perfectly shaped, but maybe you're giving yours as gifts or something, and you'd rather have them in a nice shape. In that case, you can get yourself a bath bomb mold. And a little more lemon juice to add. Okay. It's starting to look nice. It's kind of yellow. It looks very white on screen, but to me it looks a little bit like a light yellow. Alright, so once all of that is mixed together, you will go ahead and scoop them into the molds. So I've got my muffin tin here, you can see it. I'm going to smush it down with the spoon so it gets to about the right amount. Yeah, that seems good to me. I just have an instinct to not fill the muffin tin all the way, because you know when you make cupcakes and stuff, you don't want to fill it all the way. And so I'm like, oh, don't bring it up to the line. But like, I don't think these are going to expand in the same way that baked goods would. I should make muffins again. I made muffins, I don't know, like a month ago or something, and they were super yummy. Baking can be a fun form of self-care as well. I know it's one of my favorites, especially because at the end you get something tasty to eat. Just like at the end of this, you get a cool fizzy bath bomb you can use to make your next bath awesome. Alright, I'm glad I went with the citrus scent. These smell really nice. So, there are our 2 bath bombs to be. They are going to sit and wait for, it says on here it may take up to 2 days to dry them. And then once they're dried, you can just pop them out with a spoon and use them in the next bath. So that is how to make your own bath bombs with stuff you have at home. Okay, so for our next activity, we are going to make our own version of the Starbucks pink drink. Now, I don't know about y'all, but whenever I feel like treating myself, a lot of times the place that I go is Starbucks, which can be fun, but also a little expensive. And there's a lot of sugar in Starbucks drinks. So today we're going to make our own version at home of the Starbucks pink drink, which is a delicious tea and strawberry drink. I, for one, am a big fan of it, especially in the summertime when it's really hot. It's lovely to get a nice cool pink drink. So the first step I've already done here. I took 2 cups of strawberries. I just sliced off the green parts and cut them in half, and then put them on my saucepan here over low heat for about half an hour. And after a while, the strawberries will start to break down, so they're sort of mushy, which is normally not how you want your strawberries to be, but for this, it's actually perfect. So once they get to this kind of mushy state with some of the liquid in there, you're going to take them and give them the opportunity to cool off. So you can just leave them on the stove for about an hour, or I put mine in the fridge to cool them a little more quickly. And you want to start actually with frozen strawberries. I didn't mention that, but you could buy frozen strawberries already sliced like this, or I just bought a container of strawberries and stuck them in the freezer overnight, and that worked just as well. So the next thing you're going to do once you have your strawberry puree here is you're going to go ahead and mix it up. Now, the recipe that I'm using here calls for either an immersion blender, which is the kind that you can stick right inside of your bowl and it'll blend stuff up, or a food processor. I have a food processor somewhere, but I'm not sure where. So I'm just going to use a regular old blender. I've found that in my experience, the blender that I have is pretty good at doing things that normally you would leave to a food processor. Alright, so here we go. We're going to blend this up until it is nice and smooth and pink. I guess it'll be red, but it'll be pink eventually. It smells amazing. So does my kitchen because of cooking the strawberries over the stove. It smells very, very strawberry-y. I couldn't think of a better word for that. But strawberry is a nice smell, so there you go. That's a side benefit of making this recipe, is you will have a kitchen that smells like strawberries. So, oh, another thing I didn't mention is that if you want to, you can store this strawberry puree in the fridge for a day or two before you make this, so you can kind of do that step in advance. But the next thing that we're going to add is the tea. So I don't mean the gossip, I mean literal tea. I've been steeping my tea here already for about 4 minutes. Actually, closer to 5. So the tea I got is a berry pomegranate green tea. So you want some variety of green tea. If you've got a green tea with some kind of berry or fruity flavor in it, I think that's sort of ideal, but also just like regular green tea will work as well. You don't have to go out and buy fancy green tea. If what you have at home is regular green tea, then that is great. So yeah, I steeped that in some hot water for 5 minutes, and now I've taken the tea bags out, and I'm going to add that to my strawberry mixture here. And try not to spill too much. I spilled a little, but that's okay. Would it really be a self-care Sunday stream if I didn't spill at least a little? I'm not sure it would be. Alright, so our next ingredient is coconut milk. I know that the Starbucks recipe, the standard one, does use coconut milk, but I imagine you could substitute another kind of milk if that's what you prefer. Most milks are generally interchangeable, but I'm going to go ahead and pour 1 cup of my coconut milk here, my chilled coconut milk. It's been in the fridge, so it's nice and chilly. And I'm going to add that as well. Here we go. I'm a fan of things you can make in the blender. Just makes it easy and quick to make delicious things, in my experience. Alright, so now that I've added that, I'm just going to go ahead and blend that on a lighter mode this time. Also just use a spoon for this part. You don't need to do the blender, but I figure since all my stuff is in a blender already, I might as well. And look at that beautiful, hang on, let me get this off. Look at the beautiful pink color of my pink drink. It's lovely. It looks super appetizing. My camera cannot figure out where to focus right now, which is fine. And so for your last step here, I've got a glass full of ice. Obviously your tea is still going to be hot, and so you want to go ahead and pour this over ice. This makes 2 servings, so you can either drink 2 servings yourself or share with a friend or someone who lives in your household. And there we have it, folks. Let me get my, there we go. There we go. Look, you can see how beautiful and pink it is compared to the blue. That is do-it-yourself Starbucks pink drink. It's a great pick-me-up for next time you are craving a little Starbucks, but you're feeling a little DIY. Alright, so last but not least, we are going to make our own postcards in a stained glass pattern that you can send to a friend or to a family member. Now, first thing you need for this is obviously a note card, or you could also just take a larger piece of paper and cut it smaller. I wouldn't use like printer paper or loose leaf. I'd use something a little sturdier if you have it. I mean, I suppose you could try it with lighter paper, and if you do, let me know how it goes. But all you're going to do is you're going to use your ruler or other straight edge to make a kind of stained glass pattern on your note card. I am using the skinny edge, or the skinny side rather, of a two-sided Sharpie to do mine. You could use a regular thickness Sharpie or any other kind of marker that you have around, totally work. And I'll do a little bit more in this corner here. And then once you've got your general design, you can use any type of coloring materials that you have around to add some color. Now, I have some colored pencils here with me today, so that is what I am going to use for mine. Another way you could do this is, instead of using the Sharpie and the straight edge, you could use some painter's tape and use that to create kind of a resist pattern. So you'd put the painter's tape on in a similar pattern to, you know, what I did here. Whatever pattern makes you happy, of course. We're all about doing whatever makes you happy here on this channel. And then you would paint over the different sections instead of using a crayon or a colored pencil or a marker. And then when you're done, you take the painter's tape off, and then you'll have empty space where it was previously. And that can make a really cool effect too. I think I'm going to go with cool colors on my postcard here because I am a fan of cool colors. Generally, anyone who's seen my hair will know that, because my hair tends to be blue or purple, sometimes pink, and occasionally a teal or a green. But yeah, usually on the cooler edge of the color spectrum. I realize I'm putting a pink on here right now, but it's kind of a purpley pink, so I think it works. And yeah, what I love about this activity is it's a combination of a couple of great self-care things. One is, of course, just making something. Creating can be a really great form of self-care. It's one of my favorite things, is to just make something with my hands. It's got this coloring aspect to it, and we've done coloring on this channel before. In fact, I think that was in our very first video, was coloring, because the repetitive motions can be really soothing, plus the bright colors are nice to look at. You know, or pastel colors, or whatever colors you like. And then it also has a little bit of a social aspect to this activity, because of course you're making a postcard, which you can then send to a friend or family member, anyone you want to send it to. Of course you would want to write a nice message on it first, not just send them a blank postcard. I mean, you could send someone a blank postcard, but I think if I got a blank postcard I'd be confused. Be like, what's happening? Why do I have a blank postcard? Who sent this to me? Doesn't say. But I love getting mail, at least like meaningful mail. I get plenty of junk mail, as I'm sure do many of you, and that's not really very exciting. But when you get like a postcard from someone, or a physical invitation to something, that can be really exciting. Heck, maybe writing your postcard will set off a pen pal style relationship with the person you sent it to, even if that's not normally the style of relationship you have. Doesn't matter how close or far away the person is. Might make sense to send it to someone who doesn't live near you, but even if they are someone who lives near you, it can be fun to receive mail, like I said, and so I bet whoever you send it to will appreciate it. Because doing kind things for others can be a form of self-care as well. Obviously, don't overdo it. If you're exhausting yourself, that's no good. But little things like this, I think, are great opportunities to be kind to others and also to yourself. That's another thing we're all about here on this channel. Kindness. Well, I am liking how this postcard is looking so far. Slightly worried I'm running out of colors though. I've already done all the cool colors. I've got a couple blues, a couple greens, some purple. Maybe I'll throw in some pink. Like I said, pink is technically a warmer color because it comes from red, but I also really like pink. If you're making this for someone with someone in particular in mind, perhaps you can make it in their favorite colors. Maybe do a rainbow one. If you want to be like monochromatic and do like all shades of blue or something, I think that could be really cool as well. Okay, what about this darker purple? Let's try this color. Yes, I like this color. Sort of a purpley pinky color. I really like how it looks. Magenta, maybe magenta was the word I was looking for there. But yeah, this is just another simple way to do a coloring type of activity, but instead of having to buy a coloring book, you can make your own coloring book in a way. We had a kids drawing class that was draw your own coloring book actually, and it was pretty fun. Those classes, if you have someone at home who is in grades K through 3 who might be interested in a cartooning class, are with Mark Anderson, and they are on Thursday afternoons, usually once a month. Sign up on the library's website. This wouldn't be a self-care Sunday stream without me plugging at least one library program, right? In addition to this one. You can also join us on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. We have some movie nights and game nights. We alternate between those two. And that's also on this channel right here, twitch.tv/Glencoe Public Library. Check it out. We stream some cool stuff, I think. And of course, every second Sunday of the month we have this program, our Self-Care Sunday. Self-care is always important, not just on Sundays, but Self-Care Sunday is a thing on the internet. People like to use Sundays as their dedicated self-care days, and I say, hey, that works for you? That's what you should do. Okay, I have like a lot of shades of purple and blue in this box. I don't know what I was worried about. This crayon box has 64, not crayons, but 64 colored pencils with built-in sharpener, not to brag. But yeah, I have a lot of colors to choose from here. And I think this is turning out pretty nice, if I do say so myself. Alright, so here is my finished postcard, and then you can flip it over. On the back usually postcards have a nice little dividing line between where the address goes and where the message goes. I'm gonna draw one in. And heck, I'll even write my message on the stream. Okay. I'm gonna address this to my friend Emily. And I'm not gonna write her address on the stream because I don't want her to get stalked, but I'll add it later. And I'm gonna write, Dear Emily. Now, usually Emily and I have more of a goofy communication style, so I'm gonna write, Sup. I made you this postcard. As part of Self-Care Sunday. Let's see, we'll put something else a little more sincere, like, I love and miss you. Can't wait to see you soon. Yep. Short and sweet. But now all I have to do is pop her address on there and stick a stamp. Fun fact, you can use slightly less expensive postcard stamps if you have them. They're like 36 cents instead of their 52 or something like that, but any old stamp will do. I mean, maybe not any old stamp. They do make like 1 cent stamps, but a regular like forever stamp will also do just fine for a postcard. But yeah, that is how to make your own stained glass postcard to send to a friend. Thank you so much for joining us for this Self-Care Sunday. Like I said, you can come back every second Sunday of the month at 2 p.m. here on this channel, and we will have more self-care activities for you to do. And happy self-care out there, everyone.